there, my beautiful people, my beautiful people. Who else was a big Manson fan back in the day? Back in my high school days? Something about him, I thought he was sexy. I don't know what it was. Maybe part of it was just I wanted to like something that was different from the rest of what everyone else was liking. I don't know. I was never into the whole Backstreet Boys, pretty boy scene. Always had to be the weirder ones. You know what? Maybe, I don't know if I really thought he was hot until when I saw him with that one video when he had the tits. What video was that? I can't remember. He had it's like a white body plastic piece or something weird video that he's in, or that he has for the video, and he's got the tits, and everyone's like, oh, he really got tits, and oh, he like moved some ribs so he could suck his own dick. Marilyn Manson, by the way, just so you know who I'm talking about. And I don't know, it probably drew me to him even more. I heard that. I didn't think they were really true, but I'm like, that's fucked up, you know? Yeah, by the way, look at this fucking nipple. My kid bit that nipple right off. That's why these aren't my tits anymore. About 6 months is when I started to cut that shit off. It was more about 8 months before he was finally done, but definitely before he had teeth. God damn. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, Marilyn Manson. That probably should have been a big clue for me in my life. That's like, maybe I'm bisexual if I'm liking the titties on Manson. And all of a sudden that kind of strikes my fancy. I don't know, just a theory. It's not really something I've explored or plan to explore because I'm very happy with my husband, but I'd share a cream pie with him. What? Oh, I gotta get outside today because it's been raining the past couple days, so it'll be nice to get out in that sunshine. Is it just me or just like, it just feels physically good on your skin, right? It's like there's no moisturizer that can compare to sunlight and sun warmth on your skin. Look at me, I'm fucking pale as ass, and you wouldn't think I like the feel of sunlight because I am so pale, but I do. One of my most favorite things in life to do is just lay on an inner tube in a pool somewhere and just fucking soak it in that sun. With like a cool drink close by. I'd have either a Coors Light, MGD, Coronas are decent, and all with the lime. Give me a wedge of lime in with that beer, please, and thank you. And if I'm gonna get even harder than that, I think the next thing I would go to is a shot of tequila. 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, 4. I don't drink that much. No, when I do, it's not a very pretty sight. This is trying. It just goes fucking downhill after a drink or two. The laughter goes up though. And then the puke comes out. I'm so over being hung over. Ugh, right? Just spark me up something skunky and I'm good to go. I don't need no liquor. Yeah, anyway, that's what I'd love to do. I do get sunlight. I enjoy the sun. I need to get my boy out, get him outside too, get some fresh air and sunlight. Goals for the day. You know, that sounds silly to make that being a goal, but it really is. Anyone who's suffering with depression or any fucking agoraphobic issues, getting outside is a chore. And even if you don't have those issues, even if you just have a little kid, getting outside is a chore. That will be fun. At least you know what, there's lots to do. There's lots of parks. In the winter, we definitely get the kids out, go tobogganing. I'm just as big of a kid as they are when it comes to that stuff. You know what? I think that comes with the Canadian territory. You gotta get out there and go sledding with your kids. Don't drink and go sledding with your kids, especially. But yeah, you gotta show them how to make snow angels and igloo little tunnels and shit. And I remember one time my dad used the riding lawnmower for like everything to get around in our yard, which wasn't even that big. We lived in town. It's not like we had a big country property or anything. We had a fairly long driveway, and he put a plow on the front of the riding lawnmower. Pretty smart, I thought. He'd push all the snow to the end, clear out the driveway, and then push it all into this one huge pile on our front lawn in the front corner. And I remember making slides off of it and making tunnels through it, being fucking scared as ass that that tunnel was gonna collapse in on me when I was inside. And yeah, I think that's where my sister also learned that she's claustrophobic. Yeah, Fun times. I remember getting that much snow and being able to do that, and now growing up and as an adult, it's rare that we get that much snow and be able to like work with it and do things like that. A lot of times if we do get a lot of snow now, it's like we get dumped on and then very quickly it gets super cold, super fast. So then the snow's like ice and you can't work with it and do anything fun with it. No snowmen and shit. So back to my childhood, back to my dad's house. We had, in the summertime now, we had 2 riding lawnmowers, and my dad built a trailer to hook up onto one of them. It was made out of wood and had these rubber wheels, and you know, it did the trick. And so we used to, 2 of us would ride in the back and the other one would drive around. Or we would unhook the trailer and then race the 2 riding lawnmowers. About half a football field was my backyard. Okay, Ryan Harrison came over and he was pulling us, so he was driving, we were in the trailer. And the yard that we had in the backyard was fully open. Along the one side was a bunch of trees. And then on the far back corner, there was 1 pear tree. Small pear trees are fucking like, you know, a fucking cock's girth around. It's not very big for a tree. He's got the whole yard to go. What's he do? He gets the lawnmower stuck in the far back corner. Not did he do this once. He did it like a few times over and over again, to the point where my dad's like fucking irritated, and he says to him, you got the whole fucking yard to boot around in, you get stuck in the tree, like stay away from the trees. Also, oh shit, I'm gonna throw this memory out at ya. Ryan, I don't know if you remember when we were kids, and I mean little, I was maybe 7, 8 years old. This Ryan guy's the same age as me. He lived across the street from his grandmother, and for whatever reason, everybody was at his house, and like our families hung around each other. That's what I mean by everybody, like all of our families. And we went to school together. For some reason, I went back to his grandma's house to get something I thought I'd left in her backyard earlier that night. So I didn't find what it was I was looking for, and I'm about to leave, and Ryan's there in the backyard with me, and he has my bicycle on the other side of the fence, and he wouldn't let me out of that yard until I kissed him. Tell you something, Ryan, I did like you at that time, but at that moment, even in my little mind, I knew. I'm like, why is he forcing me to? If he just asked me, I would have. But because the fact you're like withholding my bicycle from me? You're making me do this? Fuck you. I am stubborn, and I was a stubborn little girl standing up for my rights. So hashtag me too. Oh my god, I'm just kidding. I'm not fucking hashtagging me tooing you right now. Whatever. We were kids. It's a funny little story. That's why I'm sharing it. It's funny what memories come rushing back to you. What memories stick with you and which ones don't, you know? And I have found this too. There are moments in my life that I remember thinking in that moment, I wonder if I'll remember this. And the fact that I thought questions like, okay, am I going to remember this moment in like a year or so from now? I remember in that moment. Does that fucking make sense? I know it sounds crazy. When I was a kid, I remember up in the bathroom, we had like a vertical mirror like this, but it was one of those old school ones that just had like the wooden border trim around it. And he had this other mirror in the cupboard, and it was just like a square, maybe the size of my palm. And it didn't have a frame or anything around it. And I remember going up to that mirror and to the big mirror and taking the small mirror in my hand and kind of like angling it and seeing my reflection and seeing it just kind of like infinitely go the more I angled it. Try that. You'll see like layers upon layers, and it depends on which one you're looking at. You can see different angles of your own face, and it was just a cool little experiment I used to do as a kid. I find a lot of like philosophical meaning in that for some reasons. Here's something for you, an interesting theory I have. I feel like thought is the very seed of creation. Nothing can be created without first being conceived. At least that's as we know it in our world, and that's what our forces of nature tell us. So I'm thinking, every time you have a thought in your mind about, oh, I could have reacted to this certain situation in this way, then that will actually play out in some sort of alternate universe, maybe. So like the very thought is like, okay, so here, okay, go back to that scene I was just talking about with Ryan and me in the backyard. If at that moment, it was a changing moment in a definition of my character for the rest of my life, nonetheless, I remember it. So it had to kind of represented something for me, right? So if in that moment I gave in and did it, maybe the rest of my life, I would have been a completely different person, and I would have just interacted differently with men throughout the rest of my life and just kind of gave in or rolled over and be a fucking mat for them or anybody to walk all over, you know what I mean? So not to say like Ryan's a fucking douchebag or nothing for doing that to me. It was a characteristic, challenging moment, and it was a lesson for myself at that time. And maybe, and in my mind, maybe I beat that lesson. Maybe I learned my lesson. Hooray! But maybe not. I don't fucking know. Guess we'll find out. I guess I'll find out at the end, right? At the end of what, Katie? At the end of my life. And I'm cool with that. I'm interested to know what's gonna happen. Not to say I'm in a rush to know and get to the end. I very much wish I hope I'm blessed to grow old and get wrinkles and age gracefully. I'm glad that I am getting wrinkles. I don't know if you can see me right now because I do have makeup on today. For some reason I put makeup on. But I'm getting laugh lines, I'm getting crow's feet. That's what happens when you smile. I'm fine with that. Fine with proof of being happy throughout my life. Anyway, I'm so getting off track. Okay, so back to that moment. Say if I did react differently. And there's actually an infinite number of ways that scenario could have played out, right? He could have reacted differently, I could have reacted differently, something could have come up. By the way, that way I got out of that scene, my dad ended up coming over and I told him what was going on. He brought all of us and my bicycle back to the house where everyone else was. So I was fine, no harm, no foul. Okay, there's infinite results that could have came from that situation. I think that each one of those infinite results have actually happened and played out in an alternate universe. And that happens every moment of every day. There are several moments in every day where your life could fucking go in a whole new direction. Theo Vaughn said something recently in a podcast that blew my mind. It just made me look at life in a different perspective. He goes, you could be fucking laying flat. All you gotta do is change something by 1 degree and you're in a different trajectory. I was like, holy shit. And he didn't continue on with what I'm about to say, but it made me think about spacecraft and space travel and how if they're off by 1 fucking degree, that's it. You're in a different trajectory. You're going to another fucking solar system, bud, because that's the difference that 1% can make. And it all has to start from somewhere, that starting point, that initial fucking thought, right? So yeah, thanks Theo. That was really cool to hear that come from somebody else. And, you know, he was more talking about like making personal changes in your life to improve your life, which is right. That's definitely what it applies to. When somebody says something and it just sparks something within you and it's like a fucking volcano, you know, and you need to share that shit. Share that shit today. There was a Star Trek episode, one of my favorite episodes from Next Generation, and it was called The Traveler. And that's what they did. They ended up going back and so far into the outer reaches of space that no man has ever gone to before, because it's like fucking X amount of light years away that was like impossible to get to and back within anybody's lifetime, even with their technology at that time. I'm so getting fucking fangirlish right now for Star Trek. Anyway, it's one of my favorite episodes because they go so far into space that they come to the point where thought equals instant creation. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. And that's where I first thought about this theory of like how in order for something to be created, you first need to think of it. Who's to say all of your thoughts aren't actually creating something? It's just maybe it's so far down the line you haven't seen it yet. Or maybe you're thinking something, you haven't put it into action, so that thought is just kind of lingering in that, I don't know what you want to call it, that ether that we all are fucking sharing and connecting with. Maybe it's the light that runs through all of us of fucking being alive and on this earth at the same time, and the magnetic pulls and fields that we all feel internally without even knowing it. Maybe it's something through that keeps us connected. And where was I fucking going with that? Oh my god. Okay, I know where I was going with that. So yeah, okay, so the thought you haven't done anything with it. It goes into that ether that we all share. Someone else can easily be like, it could maybe fucking drift down and land on somebody else. You know, like those dandelions that you blow and that fucking white shit goes everywhere? I'm allergic, I don't like it. I'm allergic to pollen. So I stay away from that shit. But that shit can land on you, right? And you don't even know it. And you're like, hey, I have an idea. That's the muse that's in so much lore and stories, you know? That sexy little muse kitten who's bringing that thought over to you, just bringing that purr kitten over, whispering in your ear. You know who's home that? Elon Musk. He's got a little fucking muse fairy whispering in his ear. Elon Musk, burrow tunnels under this city. Make a super train going from the west coast to the east coast. Muse. Send a car into orbit. What? What? Oh, Muse. Okay, Elon's fucking on board. That man has learned to hone what he can hear from his muse. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know if any of this makes sense. It does to me on some level, I guess. That's what I'm trying to express it. But it's so crazy how you can have a thought that will be a fucking split second in your mind that you have this thought, and it takes so long to explain it verbally to people. That's why the action of speaking to get your thoughts across is a very flawed system that we have. And I think maybe as mankind continues to evolve, because we're not done, evolution's not done with us. Ha! That's like saying you're perfect and there's no room for improvement. You're a fucking fool, silly Billy. No, of course we're continuing to evolve. Maybe that's something that's going to be a part of it. Maybe we'll be able to more communicate telepathically. Right? So I can just fucking put this thought into your mind and you'll know that I fucking love you. Oh, wow. Yeah. So yeah, who knows? I'm thinking that spirituality, ghosts, aliens are connected in some way. I have a feeling that like aliens are able to, if they really exist. This is totally theoretical. I'm not a nut job and I don't deep down believe this and I'm like paranoid about it or anything, okay? I'm just throwing this out there. I think maybe if there are such things as alien beings amongst us, or even within reach of our solar system, maybe they have some sort of technology that to travel between planes of existence. Maybe ghosts can also travel through planes of existence, but they do it without a physical body because they're just a spirit at that point. But maybe aliens have the technology to do that, and they don't have to worry about the physical body that we have to worry about. Maybe. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. Of course, we've all watched Ancient Aliens. Well, not all of us. People like me who want to believe. I want to believe like Mulder, but I must remain skeptical like Scully. Here in Ontario, Canada, we have bags of milk. That's right. This is a 1 liter bag of milk. So we need a milk pitcher to hold the bag. And this is my son's 3% homogenized milk, which people use the short term as homo milk. And because, you know what, I have nothing against gays. My best friend is gay. I love guys, girls, whatever. Fuck. Okay, I'm allowed to say this because I'm probably bisexual. Anyway, I'm an asshole. I picked this out for him because they're pink cows. Aren't those the gayest fucking cows you've ever seen? I love it. I love it. I love my gay ass cows, so fuck you if you think I'm homophobic. I love them. These are things you gotta do as a fucking housewife to make yourself entertained and not go crazy living with a baby. I don't know, but it's always the Wiggles house. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gonna make me wiggle all out. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gonna make me hot potato. Yeah, it's crazy. I've never been east of Ontario. So that's a goal. That's another bucket list. Excuse me, that's another bucket list thing that I want to be doing. Also to get to BC, because we got as far west as Alberta, but not all the way to BC. We had a booking, one of the nice lakes down there in Alberta, and we were gonna scoot over to BC for the one day just to experience it. We've been there a few weeks before we go on our camping trip. Fucking wildfires break out and everyone gets evacuated from Fort McMurray. So we moved back to Ontario and we had to cancel our camping trip. Love camping. Getting outside, smell that fresh wood. It's a good reset for your system too, to get away from all the EMF shit that surrounds us every day, right? Traffic and just other people. This world's overpopulated. We need our solace to escape for a bit, just get away from people. Meanwhile, here I am. So, okay, in the same video, like 20 fucking seconds ago, I'm like, oh, here's tips on how to keep yourself sane when you're alone. Now I'm like, oh, fucking people, you need to get alone by yourself. Wow. Indecisions. Well, I got a jet. Thanks so much for stopping by and listening to the random ramblings of a housewife. Appreciate it. Anyway, please like, share, subscribe. Have a great day. Bye.